My friend, we cannot keep this a secret any longer.
Bob and Zip.
Andrew Rivers is joining us at the beginning of the podcast today. It's Bob and Zip with Ed Kelly. Andrew, is there a particular topic that I should lead off with that you've got jokes for?
Sure. I got riot jokes. I got police jokes. I got unemployment jokes. I got Corona jokes. And then I got regular comedy.
Does his birth certificate say Captain Jack the Fun King? I'm just curious.
I could just read a poem if that would make everyone feel better. Something like that.
You know, a poem might be just right.
Yeah.
In this day and age. Okay. Well, let's. I'd be curious.
I'm pretty productive.
I'd be curious what regular comedy is nowadays. Like stuff that does...
Oh, well, that's just like if you asked me about dating or something like that, I would go into that kind of crap.
Right. The vanilla ice cream bar.
Yeah. But,
chocolate sprinkles, but nothing fancy.
That's right.
Well, I write jokes I speak to you guys through my jokes, honestly, because if you notice, whenever you guys bitch about me about something for a while, I put a joke about it, so that way...
That's right.
Oh, you mean
you guys have been yelling at me?
Your mother and I.
Yeah.
When we hassle you.
Yeah.
Well, you go, oh, when are you gonna bring a girl home or whatever, and it's like, I'm trying, but that's not a good enough answer for you.
Yeah, they
so
have to agree, or it's not a good thing.
Right.
They can't be duct taped.
Right. Well, Mom's advice is always very simple. She's like, oh, just pick someone. She's the old school romantic.
Do what I did. Just first one that sleeps with you regularly, that's your
the
one.
other one, the other
formality, just hook up.
Literally, she goes, it doesn't have to be the one. I was like, Dad is right there, But I don't want to just pick someone, Like, I want to be in love. I want to be one of those old couples on an airplane that makes people switch seats. Like, hey, we don't want to be near each other for a while. Can you trade?
Wow.
I don't really... sick of her.
You can see he was around Bob and Lisa for a while. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. But I've looked back on the people I've dated, and I realized, like, I have a type, and I like bossy women because I'm a fixer-upper and a feminist, so it turns me on when a woman is right. Like, if a woman came up to me after a show and was like, you're not making enough money, I'd be like, oh, she sees potential in me. I don't have any of that. So right now I just take wrong turns on purpose. That way the GPS will yell at me. No, you make a U-turn.
By the way,
Yeah, exactly.
the GPS, I think that's funny because the GPS, I have always felt, not that it would yell at me, Andrew, but the way I felt about the GPS is no matter how much I fuck up, this woman is polite to me. I enjoy it.
The perfect mate.
Yeah, she would go. I would nearly die taking the wrong off ramp. Brakes would squeal, car would spin to a halt, and she would go, rerouting.
You are an idiot, Bob. How could you be so stupid?
And by the way, your mom did this, and it's not in your bits, but maybe it should be. I don't know if you know, but your mom selected an Australian guy to be her GPS guy.
I think you should leave, Bob. I think he's an idiot.
You can't, it's not giving you directions to the guy. Like, it's not, it's just a voice. You don't see the abs, but you can hear them, I guess. So,
Six-pack.
I don't know. You can hear abs? Can you do that?
Yeah. Well, the guy sounds attractive. For all you know, he could be like 800 pounds.
Have a two teeth.
For sure.
Yeah. So,
whatever you want to justify it with. That's fine.
Dating in a coronavirus pandemic must be completely impossible. Are you doing any like Zoom hookups or anything?
I got invited to a Zoom orgy, which is very Well, everyone's moving online now, But it was very exciting because it's the first orgy I've been invited to, but I still have to do all the work myself, which is like defeating the purpose.
Sure.
But I don't think it's the right format for a sex party. Because, sometimes the connection gets fuzzy, and you're like, is that a
Andrew
nipple?
experiences delay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It reminds me when I was 13 trying to watch porn on a channel my parents didn't subscribe to. You're like, I can kind of make out a boob.
Scrambled channel.
Oh, you're talking about scrambled Showtime?
Yes.
Yeah.
You did that?
Of course.
Wow.
Sorry.
I was completely
Check
unaware.
your credit card. You can get the charges removed. But also, it's a Zoom. When there's like 16 people on there, they look like they're in tiny squares, and it feels like you're masturbating to the Brady Bunch intro. Oh, Alice.
Here's the story.
So,
Named Andrew.
can I ask? And I'm going to be sorry I asked.
Sure.
Is that like a great joke, or is that based on a true story?
No, that's not. That's just my imagination.
Oh, good.
Running away with me. But I heard you can get like a live stream dominatrix or something like that. This is where the article came from. I kind of.
Do you have that number handy?
Yeah. My safe word is frown emoji. So just
Frown emoji.
just keep that in mind.
Very nice. Very nice. And so, and you do have a couple of people, but you've mentioned this. You had someone in L.A. that you dated that you could go see, but then you'd have to get on an airplane.
Sure. This, I just don't. I think I forget what it was, but Keith was always bringing girls home every week,
Oh, cast-offs.
So like, and he, with every girl, would be like, this is going to be the one. And I'd watch him make an idiot out of himself. And so that learned experience for me was to be like, I'm not going to be that idiot. So I went the opposite direction where I was like, I'm not going to mention anything until it's close to
So you
serious,
really like the girl. Yeah. And you've
But
had
then you
one-
guys think I'm like an incel. And so
no.
I'm like, all right, well, I got to prove that I can get laid,
Never
I'm not
tip
out
your
there
hand.
rioting with the other incels. I'm not in the Antifa or whatever.
Let's put it this way. I'm pretty sure I don't want to see your browser history. If you're an incel. I wouldn't have that
that's
fear.
Oh man.
yeah, that's for sure. I'm just more careful with my
Real people.
extracurricular activities.
Better to err on the
nowadays.
side of caution.
Andrew did, by the way, Ed and Zip. Andrew did have a girlfriend for a while, several months, I believe, who was a gorgeous, all-American blonde. I mean, she looked like she was in training for Fox News.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
And she was.
it's really funny that you mentioned that because that's literally the types of girls that I am attracted to girls that look like they vote Republican, but I'm not. So. I love socialism. I just wish it wore a tighter dress and smiled more.
Oh, man.
So
Anyway.
that's that's why the interview process takes a lot longer. We have more topics to discuss.
Anyway, you dated her for like 3 months, then you broke up, and then you sort of heckled each other. But now the two of you are okay, right? Are you still friends at all?
Yeah, we're friends. She's dating a
Rich guy?
he's like he's a Harvard grad army medic or something like that. And so I think I'm out of the running at this point.
She went on to the BBD, as they call it, the bigger, better
Right.
deal.
Well, she's
Right.
also out in Spokane, isn't she? And so there's military
Well, she
bases.
lives in Texas now, so
Oh, really? She moved to Texas?
and she's got a modeling contract. She's a Soul Cycle teacher, instructor, or whatever you call it.
Oh, that's good.
So she used to make fun of me because she had more like Instagram followers than me. And I was like, well, that's because you're just posting pictures of your ass, And,
Why don't you do that?
And she broke up with you?
I started posting photos of my butt, and then, wow, I should have been doing that way sooner because I get so many supportive messages from men across the world. And
That's awesome. So that was all
immediately
good.
after we broke. Oh, yeah. Okay.
We
go
haven't
ahead.
talked about the coronavirus yet. That's fantastic. You're in Seattle.
God.
There are lots of protests there. Ed is in Detroit. Zip is in Worcester, where they've had some protests, probably more so in Boston. And I'm in Vermont, where, the cat got out this morning and we brought her back in.
Oh, boy. What a terrible.
Exactly. So what's the mood in Seattle? You're right up the hill from the South Center Mall, and I heard that was like firebombed or something.
I don't know about firebombed. I mean, I think they just stole some old Skechers or whatever. I forgot that the mall. I'm really literally walking distance to the mall, but I'm pretty isolated. The government just said like curfew's 9 p.m. and we're taking away your Xbox. And it was like I guess that's why they call it a nanny state.
A nanny state, yes.
But I live uphill on a one-way street, and you'd have to pass a police station and a rehab clinic to get to me. So literally, if the cops don't shoot you, you're going to accidentally break into the meth clinic and start fighting zombies. So I feel pretty safe.
So don't worry, they don't have any teeth left.
Yeah, that's true.
Your condo's in a great spot, actually, because
it's pretty good. Yeah.
And it's a dead-end road, right?
Right.
So if you commit a crime up there, you have to go out past the cop station.
Right.
Awesome.
But I'm not doing anything. I am not rioting or protest. I have a pre-existing condition called being a pussy, so I don't want to be out there.
Speaking of dead-end roads, did Dad tell you not to go into radio? Just curious.
Yeah. He encouraged me to go into comedy instead, so
good.
that turned out well.
Yeah, there'll always be comedy. There'll always be radio, too. It's just not going to come out of local transmitter towers. It's all going to be online.
You won't be able to eat.
We all do the same thing. We just put a different wrapper on it, you know?
But, we had a discussion about this last night, a long discussion about radio, and I don't mean to put it down. Some of my best friends are still in radio, and some of the people that are on the radio now are the most awesome.
No, some of my best friends are black, I swear.
Yeah, no, seriously.
Ball buster.
No, but what I'm saying is there's much less of it. It's not a way, like if I'm 35 years old now and I want to be an entertainer, I would say do a podcast.
And by the way, Bob, if you want to get into AM talk, there's one fat fuck that's got all the stations. Don't even bother.
And you're fairly ill.
Yes, I am.
How are you feeling, Rush Limbaugh? Are you okay?
Hang on. Can we bring more OxyContin in, please? Thank you.
Yeah. No, Rush is, he's been, he said on the air that there's going to be some days he's not going to be able to make it because of the chemo.
Is he undergoing chemo? Yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. I feel bad for anybody. You know what? Rush made, if I understood correctly, his contracts were like $400 million contracts.
Yeah.
You would know about that, Ed, right?
No, not really. I'm not a huge fan. I know that Howard's was 400 when he moved over to Sirius, or 500, I think.
500 for 5 years. Yeah, 100 million a year. Right. And by the way, what's the guy's name? Joe Rogan?
Yes.
Yeah.
We were talking about him the other day. You must be very familiar with him, Andrew.
Not intimately, but I've watched a lot of
I know you post a lot of pictures of your ass now. That's not what I
That's funny. No, I don't watch his channel regularly. It's not when he has a really good interview out or someone that's an interesting guest, I'll check it out, but I don't. I mean, he's very reckless, I guess. Especially now, he had an interview with Bernie, and then after Bernie was out of the race, he was like, well, we might as well vote for Trump, and who cares? And it's like, you didn't really listen to anything that's happened.
He's not going to be what you agree with.
No.
Well, he's just not smart, so I just don't, he's the type of, he's hosting UFC fights and that kind of thing. Yeah. And that's a different.
He's the Fear Factor guy. Yeah.
He's a carny barker.
Yeah. But I have to say, me knowing nothing, just listening to his interview with Elon Musk blew me away. And then the other day when I was mowing the lawn, I was listening to one of his albums. And it's an old one. I think it's 10 years old, and he's talking about how they should legalize pot. I know it's an old album.
Yeah.
And, he was edgy. You know what? He reminded me of that guy who liked to whack off in front of comics. What was that guy's name?
Louis C.K.
Yeah. I knew his name. I was just seeing.
Oh, okay.
Smart ass.
But he reminded me a little of Louis C.K. when you say reckless. But he did this bit how... I just want to tell you that a lot of the stuff I tell you is a lie because I'm a comic, and if it's funny, if the truth isn't as funny as the lie, I'm going to go with the lie every time.
Yeah, comedy's a lie that tells the truth.
I disagree with that approach.
Except when you're talking about the Zoom orgy.
It's based on, sure. But that's not, that's not a serious, that's not a serious, whatever. I guess.
It was an exaggeration for effect, is what.
Anyway, so I just discovered.
You read an article instead of saying like, "I heard about this Zoom orgy thing." You just make it, about you.
No, but I don't know. He struck me kind of like a George Carlin for these times, and I'm sure he's not anywhere near as smart as Carlin. But boy, does he have? He's fearless about saying anything. Not like me. And I hope I raised you with lots of fear too.
Yeah, plenty
Spare the
of fear.
rod, spoil the child.
Yeah. Anyway, so riots in Seattle. How's it going?
It's pretty good. I'm not sure why people are surprised that there are riots. Like, you can't even play a game of Monopoly without someone breaking a window. So you're telling me you expect real life Monopoly to end well? I don't think so. Sorry you can't afford your insulin, Nana. That's Park Place with a hotel. $600. Fork it over. Get out of my house.
Oh, man.
And I don't know. All these people say you shouldn't riot and you should vote instead. And I agree with that, unless the system is designed to suppress your vote and marginalize your existence. And then, I guess riot. I don't know.
Riot.
Construction just opened back up and looters are breaking windows. We're creating jobs. All the stuff in stores is from 3 months ago. Nobody wants fall clothes anymore. We're taking it off their hands.
They're doing a public service if you think about it.
Plus, they have insurance.
Yes.
It should be fine. Unless all of a sudden the insurance company says, oh, the window was broken by a brick and you don't have brick insurance. In which case, what kind of fucked up system are we desperately trying to protect? You mean to tell me everything is broken and doesn't work the way it's designed to? Burn it down.
Love it.
I don't know. I think whatever happens, just don't let Ross file any insurance claims, okay?
Ross dress for less?
Every Ross store looks like a riot already passed through. Clothes on the floor, babies screaming, something's always on fire. I don't trust it.
Beautiful.
But I get the pearl clutching. I just think like there would be worse damage if the Mariners made the playoffs. So I also think we have a better chance of solving racism than that happening. But, people riot and break shit for all sorts of stupid reasons. So, I think on a serious note, I will say, I think that plays into Trump because he wants to be the law and order guy. But I also think if he's gassing protesters without doing anything, that also looks bad for him. I'll say there's lots of unforced political errors on both sides, but I'll be interested to see. I think breaking stuff and causing damage and giving them, even if it's justified in your mind, is like, they're going to show. But I also don't think you can convince anybody either way. I think everyone's really...
People are amped up.
Every time, if grab 'em by the pussy didn't do it for you, then nothing will. They're not gonna all of a sudden 3 years later be like, you know what, this guy has gone too far.
By the way, did you see the meme of Trump standing outside St. John's Church holding up the Bible, and next to him was the sign talking about when the services were? Yeah. Only instead it had that inside. What was that? What was that show?
Extra.
It had that whole quote. They let you. They let you do anything. I just grab them by the pussy. It was right there instead of which hymns were going to be done at the service. It's just fantastic.
Oh, Photoshop's so much fun.
Because Biden came out and said, "Oh, hey, if you're black, you're not voting for Trump or whatever." Like, ugh. And then everyone got mad at him, which was like, I thought people liked presidents that tell it like it is.
Yeah, unless they're not
Republican. Trump. It's the same thing with the Fox. They had a clip of Colin Kaepernick should respect the flag and LeBron James should shut up and dribble with his opinion. And then they showed the newest story is Drew Brees is a quarterback for the Saints, and he came out and said, well, I think that you should respect the flag. And so they had Lauren Ingram on, oh, well, he's entitled to his opinion,
Sure, as long as it's ours.
So it's just as long as you agree with that opinion. That's what it is.
It's kind of goofy. So, but
that brings up a good point. Is like whenever these major events happen, people form an opinion in the first few days, and they spend the rest of their lives proving themselves right.
Yeah.
Right. They whatever sentence they think they agree with. So I think there's two things that everyone should just keep in mind throughout all of this is number one, always keep an open mind. And number two, Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
I'm laughing at the tragedy.
Oh, boy. That's a can of worms.
Ooh,
Did you watch the Netflix special?
Yeah, it was really interesting. Again, police looking real genius there. I don't know how many complaints or how many stories you need or whatever, but my conspiracy theory is that he didn't actually kill him. Like, he's not dead. I think he just somehow escaped. And paid everybody off. I don't think
certainly had the dough to get it done.
Yeah.
He's buddies with Trump and he's friends with everybody. It just seems like they would pull some slick stuff.
Well, here's what I think. I think that whatever happened, it was at the highest level of covering up and not having him talk. So that makes me think they did kill him, because the surest way for someone to never talk,
absolutely, yeah,
is make it so they could never talk.
Get into talk radio.
Yeah, and he will never talk. And here's the weird thing about him. I mean, he was bipartisan sleaze. Right. So, I mean, you're talking Clinton, Trump.
But all these guys, too. Harvey Weinstein had photos with everybody.
Yeah.
It's all these
Prince
people.
Andrew. I mean, you're talking the British monarchy. The liberal side of the U.S. monarchy. And the Trump side. And
yeah,
I saw, what's his name, the old lawyer, the Kardashian dude, right?
Yeah.
Is he dead?
Alan Dershowitz.
No, Dershowitz, not Kardashian, yeah. Dershowitz, who represented OJ, was on a Fox cartoon show about politics called Tuning Out the News. Have you ever seen that?
Where they animate it and they use actual drops?
Yeah, they use actual real interview with him.
Yeah.
But then they pretended that and I'm sure it's an interview that he did somewhere else, completely taken out of context in comedy.
Of course,
yeah. But his deal was that he went to Epstein's and he just had a massage. Nothing funny in my massage.
Sure.
And I'm like, if you're Epstein and you're buying a guy who looks like that a massage, you must not have liked him.
Teeth, I'm insecure about my teeth, but then I look at that interview and I go, I'm doing good. I'm doing really good.
So anyway, yeah, that's weird stuff. I do think he was murdered.
It's much more plausible that he was actually murdered, but I mean, he was offering up to like $900 million on bail, and then they found like fake passports and stuff like that. So
yeah,
right.
He was going to make an exit stage left. Yeah. Right.
Yeah, to me, and I'm not a conspiracy theory guy. Like, I don't believe the whole 9/11 was faked. I think we really went to the moon. The picture's
Bob,
really
where's your tinfoil hat?
Well, the picture's really grainy, and we did not have good Photoshop back then. So But right. in the case of Jeffrey Epstein, the conspiracy theory is much more likely than the official.
Rap Rivers.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, damn. You know what would be great? A movie, like an HBO or Netflix movie about what really happened.
What really happened?
Yes.
Oh, like when OJ put out that book, If I Did It, or
If
whatever.
I Did It.
This is how I would do it.
Just hypothetically, allegedly, this is how I would have gone about it, but I totally didn't.
All right. Andrew, it's good to see you on the
thanks.
internet.
Yeah.
Virtually. Yes.
Virtually.
Happy. You're my only friend, so
Thank you.
That's what I look forward to. People let me tell you about my best friends.
Mr. Andy's father. That's what he
I
calls
do
it.
think we would actually. I think this is how great our relationship is. Is I think even if we weren't related, we would probably be friends.
Yeah, we would, actually. We're.
Break into war song, quick.
And by the way, I was never supposed to say you were my favorite.
Well, we all knew.
It's funny.
It wasn't a lot of competition.
I'm
so-
extremely proud of Keith, but we were Keith. Keith will say I was tough on him. I would say we were tough on each other. Keith and me.
Yeah.
But you
Again,
and me.
I learned so much. Like he was very. It's funny. I just went the opposite way of Keith. You know,
you watched
where he
everything
would-
Keith did, and you watched me yell at him, and you went, "I don't need that
my
kind of shit."
favorite memory is we had just watched Congo, and a couple days later, you guys got in a big fight at the dinner table.
Right.
And you stood up and you go, "Me big gorilla," and he had nothing to say to that. And I just remember being like, someone's gonna not have a brother soon.
You live my cave, I big gorilla.
Yeah. I mean, you were mocking him because he was challenging your authority.
Well, and he was at that age where
And the best way to diffuse that is by making him laugh, and so you were always
he did
great at
laugh.
that.
Yeah. Now, you and I never came to anger about anything. Would you say that? I don't think we ever have.
You've yelled at me, I think twice in that I can remember, and one was when your dad was dying, and I got fired from my dock job, and I went to go get a job at like a restaurant, and I knew that they didn't want to hire me from their tone, but they kept giving me the runaround where they're like, "Yeah, we'll call you in a couple days and let you know if you get the job or whatever." I did a training. I was the bread boy at this Italian restaurant, you know. And,
You were training to cut the bread. Yes.
it was really bad. Well, this is all right. So this is really fun. They had a old bread pile and a new bread pile, and whenever you take the eaten bread, you would put it in the bad bread pile, and then the new bread pile had bread in a basket with napkins over it. So one day at my training, I grabbed a basket it just had napkins covered over it, and it was in the new bread pile, so I didn't check that it was eaten. And so they yelled at me because I brought half-eaten bread to a table because it was in the new bread pile. And so I knew I wasn't going to get the job, but then I was this was at Orcas Island at the cabin, and you kept coming into my room and being like, "Did you call and get the job yet?" And I'd be like, "Nah, they'll call me." And I didn't want to say like they don't want to hire me. And it was like the third day in a row that you kind of said, "Call them up," and then
Mr. Rivers, this Andy down the restaurant, your son is skinny stupid. He should not be hired by us.
Yeah. If I called them one day and they go, "Oh, we're so busy right now. Can you just call back at like 1 p.m.?" And I was like, "Just tell me I didn't get the job, you know?" And so I told you, like, they said to call back at 1, and then it was like 3 p.m., and you're like, "Did you call back yet?" And I was like, "No," and you yelled at me, and then I called, and like, "We're sorry you're not getting the job." And I was like, "Oh, it took 2 weeks." But I forget the thing, but you were like, "My dad's on his deathbed, and you're sitting around not doing anything with your life. Get off your ass."
I was probably
totally
a little worried about you at that point, yeah.
But yeah, you know. But I mean, as far as that, if that's the only time I can actually remember, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
I mean, yeah, Andrew and I would look at each other, and I'd go, "Want ice cream?" Yeah. All right.
Yeah. I was just tagging along with my buddy. You'll give me like a lecture, like you've lectured me about marijuana. Oh, you don't want to be dependent on substances while you're pulling into Starbucks in the middle of the lecture.
Is that your idea of equivalency? Huh?
Yeah, and then you go, and then you're very self-aware, so you go, you make a joke and you hold up the coffee cup and you go, or ignore me, whatever.
Yeah.
It's all fun.
Totally optional, kid.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh, that's funny.
I think the key thing for any parent if I were giving parental advice, would be to do it with a little bit of humility at all times. Because if you do it with humility, then it sounds like you actually care about your kid doing well, not like you're trying to beat on him. But not with Keith. I was
the pedantic approach.
I wasn't able to do that with Keith because he's a bull, a competitive bulldozer like I am, and so he would just treat me like you're stupid, old man. You don't know what you're talking about. And if you push my buttons like that, yeah. And he would also he did some fun things though. Looking back on him,
he got into some trouble too. He was a little bit of a troublemaker. I didn't have friends in high school, so I didn't get invited.
You didn't have friends to get you in trouble.
Yeah. Do you want to know a funny story? Maybe that I've never told you. On Orcas Island, I got invited to a party with my friend, and we go and. I've always hated the taste of beer, until recently. But I realized that you don't drink it for the taste or whatever. But I was at a party and we were drinking Coronas and they weren't that good. And in our head, we knew from the commercial, like, oh, you're supposed to have a lime, but there weren't limes at the party. So we thought, let's just go to the grocery store. But it's a small island, so the grocery store closes at 9 p.m. So our next best idea was to go to a bar and ask someone outside the bar to get us lime wedges from the bar because we're geniuses at 17. And so we wait outside the bar. The first guy we see looks cool, so we go, hey, can you get us a lemon? And he goes, well, this is my bar. What do you need a lemon for? Or a lime, And we go, oh, my mom's making a pie and the grocery store's closed or whatever. This is 100% true. And he just gives us this look and he walks into the bar and we go, I think we're getting away with it. And he comes out and he throws us 2 limes and he goes, enjoy your Corona. And then,
busted.
He was just happy you weren't trying to get in there with fake IDs.
That's
for sure. Yeah,
that's funny. Now, Keith would do stuff like we were going to go away on a vacation and he put up posters in the neighborhood. Party at the mansion on the hill. He basically set up a rave, and the poster promised kegs, wet T-shirt contests.
Oh my gosh!
I still wasn't invited to that party, and that was my brother's party. I found out about it from everybody at school, being like, "That's funny. Cool party coming up this weekend." I was like, "What?"
Well, I still have that poster somewhere.
Oh, really?
It's in the barn. Yeah, I came across it a few years ago, and I was gonna, frame it, but I didn't.
You should put his house on it, and then
put it up in his neighborhood.
Post it on Facebook and say "Party at Keith's house." See how he feels.
Turn her on.
But God bless him. He grew into quite a man, and married the most beautiful, wonderful woman. And we have 2 granddaughters. And meanwhile, Andrew is wasting all that seed every night.
Virtual orgy.
Virtual orgies on Zoom. So,
the humanity.
Wow. All right. Andrew, it's great to have you with us. Thank you very much for coming.
It was great up until that last joke.
If you want to have the last word, go ahead. I'm just a retired guy now. You go for it.
Oh, I got let's see. I got a good joke somewhere in here. The Washington unemployment. There was a delay in payments, because they got hacked or what they got
by the Nigerian scammers.
Yeah, which is crazy because now when I get an email from a Nigerian prince, he might actually have my money.
Man. Andrew J. Rivers, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. We'll be back after this important word from Ed Kelly.
In theaters,
you were going to play. Oh, sorry.
When theaters are open again, comes an eventual slew of movies about 2020.
No!
Horror films about coronavirus, terrifying documentaries about injustice, and IMAX nature films about murder hornets.
Too soon!
Imagine being stuck in a theater watching films about being stuck inside your house.
Could it get any worse?
Here's what people are saying about movies that will be made about 2020.
The actors' gray roots are too much on the big screen.
I don't want to watch a movie shot on Zoom.
Movies about 2020. Simultaneously, the most boring and most exciting movies in history. Rated COVID-19.
All right. Oh, Andrew texted me. Are you still there, Andrew?
Yeah.
You were remembering a twisted tune and that we should play it at the end of this podcast. Because you grew up with around comedy bits.
Yeah, what's funny is, I only knew your version of songs for a long time.
We'll talk about damaged upbringing.
Police stop my car. Police stop my car.
That's funny. Really funny. Yeah, I never would have considered that.
Especially when he starts singing
I
at the
wasn't
grocery
old
store.
enough to really, I wasn't old enough to really know the original songs. So, whenever the music starts playing and I'm like, which version is this one,
Well, we know why she moved to Texas, don't we?
Hey.
I'm just kidding.
All right. Well, the Hello, I Love You, Let's Get Tested for AIDS, you thought that was our song, not a parody of The Doors, right?
Well, I knew it was your song. I just didn't know the original version.
Huh.
I didn't know what the original song was.
And that was at a time when, this AIDS epidemic was a very big information.
Yeah.
Into you.
Right. Well, you're talking about dating and all the corona stuff, and because there was an article about people hooking up and the journalist said, "Are you asking each other if you've been tested for COVID or whatever?" And they were like, "Well, we trust each other. It's probably fine." But they don't have enough tests, That's kind of an issue too.
That's right.
They're running low on the actual whatever the actual swab is made.
Wrong, fake news. If you want a test, you can get it.
Anyone who wants a test.
I think the company that makes Donald Trump's wigs should step up and whatever that is seems pretty
Bob, I'm going to pass a bill that makes abortion retroactive. Would you care to sign here?
Sure. If you can laugh at that, Andrew, you can laugh at anything. Okay. All right. Anyway.
See you guys later.
Cheers. Bye.
Thanks, man.
Okay. Yeah, he's a good kid.
Yeah.
They're both good. Just in case Keith hears this podcast.
It's funny. I can't see you really as a disciplinarian, but I guess you were to some degree.
Well, Keith and I, we tussled over, like, my thing is if you try to, and you could even see with the thing Andrew remembers, if you try to lie to me or hide something from me, I'm,
on you like paint.
Well, first off, I'm a very experienced liar.
Of course.